What is going on, guys? Today we have on the table a pretty impressive budget-minded monocular that is infrared that can be mounted directly to your rifle scope for hunting purposes or spotting purposes. This thing has a lot to talk about. We're going to do our best to go over all the features on it. This was sent over by Oneleaf. I want to thank them for doing so. If you want to take a look at it, I'll have a link in the description box down below, as well as I think a coupon code. I could be wrong, but go check it out down there in the description box down below. Again, this was sent over by Oneleaf. This is known as the Commander NV100 infrared monocular, again, that has the capability to mount directly to your rifle scope. All right, let's get right down to the coolest feature of this monocular, which is mounting it to your rifle scope. As you can see, it is doable by these adapters that they sell, which are held in by 2 Allen keys, and all you do is insert it onto the back end of that adapter, give it a little twist, and it locks right into place with a solid click. Very audible. And when you want to remove the monocular from the rifle scope, again, very easy. Just push this button down right here, give it a little twist, and you're right back to where you started with only this adapter hanging off the back, which is not too cumbersome without the monocular either. Definitely still a shootable rifle scope. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. This is a very cool idea. However, most people that are wanting to use this are probably throwing this onto their standard hunting rifle or wanting to do so. Let's talk about that. What you're doing here essentially is you're adding on about 5 extra inches of material onto the back end of your scope, which on a standard hunting rifle, if you cannot relocate your scope forward, you're going to have to deal with that at the back end of the stock somehow. Now, it's not impossible to use this on a standard configured rifle. However, it does become quite interesting trying to work with this on the back end of the stock. Now, I had this mounted to my Ruger 1022, which was again completely doable. However, I would not use this on a hunting rifle or standard configured rifle with a lot of recoil, because what you're dealing with back there is a very uncomfortable shooting position with not a lot of eye room in there for this thing to recoil to you. Now, they do provide you with this extra eyepiece right here that you can attach to the back, which I have not figured out how to do just yet. So there it is. If you're going to use this on a highly recoiling gun, you're probably going to want to upgrade to the larger eye cup that they have in the back there. And again, using it on a standard configured rifle, standard hunting configuration, it's going to be quite interesting. However, where this does excel is on a, say, an AR platform in which you can relocate your scope all the way forward to negate that extra material that you have on the back end of your stock, which is where this idea will excel, is with those hunters or people wanting to use night vision on their AR platform, because that is about the only way I can think of, and I can't quite think of a lot of rifles that have a flat top on the top just like that will allow you to move this rifle all the way forward, this rifle scope. However, there are some scout rifles out there in which now you could use a standard scope on a scout rifle, because now you're not relying on eye relief, because this is doing that for you. So you could mount this, say, to a scout rifle all the way up front. This is going to bring your eyepiece all the way to you now. Now you'll have this sitting on top of a scout rifle. So that's a very small window of people that are going to be doing that. However, it is doable in that sense. Now let's talk about the camera sensor and the infrared capability with this thing. Some of the things that really impressed me about this little monocular here is its capability to pull in a lot of light with that sensor without the infrared on. As you can see right here with this footage, I was able to, even at close to twilight or almost nighttime, I was able to pull in so much lighting that I almost didn't need that, and it was actually operating quite smoothly. Now, the darker it gets, the more laggy the picture quality gets when you're not using the infrared. However, as soon as you flip on that infrared, everything smooths out really nicely, because that's where this camera, of course, was meant to be used. I'm just going to roll in some footage here so that you can take a look at the differences in with the night vision on, or the infrared beam on the black and white mode, as opposed to the standard color mode that's on there. Of course, again, when you're using the color mode towards the darker settings, you will experience lag in the picture quality, because this is in fact an infrared scope. It's meant to be used with the infrared beam on the black and white setting, which excels very nicely. And in fact, at different distances, you can see here's one shot here with my cat just kind of relaxing. This is in a pitch black room that you can't even see a black cat sitting in a dark black cabinet. And with this infrared on, of course, you can see just fine. In some of these areas I'm pointing at are pitch black, no moonlight out whatsoever, and I'm switching between the infrared. The infrared goes all the way up to 6 power, and of course when using this on a moving target, you're going to want to be at the highest power that you can get to with the infrared beam. That really smooths out your camera footage when you're chasing something that's moving. As you can see right here, my dog is out back just having a great time. With the laser that's built in, which we'll get into that in just a second. This thing has a laser that is equipped onto the side of it that you can use in this scenario to have a great time with your dog in the backyard. Or you can use this so that if you're not looking through the monocular, so that you don't want to bleach your eye out because you're looking at a LCD screen inside of there at night, taking your eye off of the monocular after staring into there, you're going to be, of course, almost blind. So using the laser, you can point in the direction that you want without actually having to have your face up to the monocular. So that's kind of a nice feature. One might want to use the laser in conjunction with their scope, but this is the problem that arose whenever I tried to attempt that. The laser adjustments for windage and elevation just would not work with the scope that I have. I don't think it's the scope's fault. In fact, the adjustments for the laser just simply ran out of room right away to bring it to the center to line up with my scope. So not a big deal, as I do have an illuminated reticle inside to use with this night vision. In fact, you actually don't even need to, because as you can see with the illumination off inside of the scope, you can see the crosshairs just fine in infrared. The infrared beam has a nice little feature on the top, which you've probably seen in some flashlights, where you just pull it out and it condenses the beam into a very tight pattern. Well, I guess you can use that if you're at a further distance away to an area that's pretty dark, and maybe like a cavern or something like that, or that kind of scenario. You could use this to really condense that beam down to a focal point at distance. Or if you just wanted to flood the entire area that you're at, of course you would pull that back in, which would open up the beam a lot wider. Now, as you can see with some of these shots, I am using the monocular on a scope. However, the scope is of course dismounted from the rifle. On that note, you can use this little monocular as a cool little spotting scope. If you had, say, a really high powered scope that you wanted to use with this in conjunction, you can put this on a tripod with this little threaded area right here is set for any kind of standard camera tripod. So that's kind of a cool feature if you wanted to use it for that. Now, one of the issues that you might run into with using this on a back end of a scope is having to negotiate at certain distances with certain magnification whether or not you're going to have your crosshairs in focus or the target in focus. Now, this is just the nature of the beast when you're mounting anything onto the back end of a rifle scope. So just know that going into it, whenever you're mounting this onto your scope, you can't just simply full blast magnification and have both your target and your crosshairs in focus. So you have to find what magnification at whatever distance works best as basically the Goldilocks zone, to be able to use both your reticle and your magnification on your scope. Now, for me, using this 1 power to 6 power scope with this monocular on the back, I found that the sweet spot that I had with this magnification was to be at around 5 magnification at around 50 yards. I could see both my reticle nice and clear, and I could also see my target nice and clear. So that's one thing you have to take into consideration if you're using this for that. Now, you can zoom all the way in, as you can see, at a target that is very close up, and what will happen is either your target will be in focus or your crosshairs will be in focus. This squirrel that you can see in picture right here was maybe 10 yards away, and I was at full blast 6 power on the magnification of my scope. Now again, zooming all the way out to, say, 50 yards at full magnification was a nice Goldilocks zone, and then anything out further past that, I would have to drop back in magnification and roll through the adjustment there to get everything in focus. So one of the things you're just going to have to play with and come to know with what works for what magnification at what distance with your setup. All right, let's quickly talk about some of the smaller features about this thing, which is, of course, the rechargeable battery. This is a Samsung battery. The charge on it takes a while to get there. However, I've found that using this thing and all of my testing actually does last quite a while. It is operated by a rechargeable cord that you can stick into the side right there. and also that will be able to transfer your data or your images. You can also do that by taking out the tiny SD card, the micro SD card, and using it with an adapter into your computer to transfer all of your items over. Now let's talk about picture quality and video quality with this monocular. The display resolution is said to be operating at 1280 by 960, and the video resolution is said to be 1080p at 720p. It has a full HD feature or a standard HD feature, which all of the footage that you've been seeing today is at the full HD with 30 frames per second. This monocular has capability to take pictures while recording if you want, or just take pictures whenever you're just holding on to this thing. As you can see, the picture quality is reminiscent of older flip phone technology. So take that for what it's worth. I have not been able to get the picture quality better than what you see here, and it is also compressed to the point where it makes everything look fat. It's going to compress you down and make you look wider, or the object that you're taking a picture of is going to look wider here for sure. You can see with some of these footage that I'm rolling in, you can see a lot of detail in the pictures themselves that I've taken here. But it is what it is at this price point. You're not going to be looking at glamour shots, basically taking pictures with it. Again, taking a look at the video resolution, not the greatest at this price point. I wouldn't expect GoPro quality with it. So you can see that right there. Some of the footage from the range time in completely bright daylight is some of the footage there you can see there. And of course, again, making my dog chase this laser around in the black and white night vision. Very smooth picture quality. However, again, the quality of the picture resolution and everything, not the greatest. Still definitely workable if you want to show your friends your favorite hunting shot that you took, or just some spotting scope footage. Definitely doable with all of that. And again, you're looking at a price point that's nowhere near like GoPro quality. However, is very doable, very workable. You can definitely make out what's going on in the images. And on that note, one of the things that you will notice with this video quality is that it definitely needs to have some kind of image stabilization. You can feel and see every shake and nervous twitch and recoil of every single shot and every single bit of footage in this thing. There is absolutely no image stability in it whatsoever. Again, still workable, but it's going to be very shaky, and the recoil is going to just jar the whole entire screen whenever you take a shot. It does have a built-in microphone, which again, at this price point, is not something you're going to want to use to do any vlogging with. One of the things you might have to do whenever you first turn this on is update the firmware on it, or at any point that they release a new firmware, you can jump onto Oneleaf's website and follow the prompts on how to do that. So that's kind of nice, and I would make a suggestion to Oneleaf with their next firmware update that when you're recording and you hit the digital zoom button, for some reason, on mine anyway, it stops recording the moment you hit that and automatically starts at the next power level that you hit for. So it goes up to 3 times digital zoom, and each time you press that while you're recording, it stops your record and starts a new record at the next power level that you pressed. So if you're trying to get the 3 power from 0, it's going to stop recording 3 times and start at the 3rd one. So I don't know what's going on there, but hey, Oneleaf, why don't you fix that? That's kind of weird. If you're taking any advice from any YouTubers that you've set these items to, I would say that the button configuration on here is quite confusing at night when you're using this and you're going to hit record. You really have to be familiar with Braille to read which button you're about to press in here. None of these all feel the same at night. And so you really have to count where you're at by going left, right, up, and down, and then going, oh, well, there's center, that's record, that's what I want to do. Maybe relocate the record button maybe to the side, and then your infrared button to the other side, and then say your zoom, I don't know, on the top or something like that, or any of those configurations. But having all of these buttons right here at night, trying to find out what you're about to press, you might lose your shot. If you're a hunter, or if you're in the moment and you're trying to hit record, you're probably just going to keep clicking the magnification button or the menu or any one of these that feel the same. So that's my little rant on this layout right here. It's not the best layout for working at night. Maybe you make the buttons feel different, or hey, you know what? Make the buttons light up red or something. So there it is. Mainly impressed with this thing. There are a few things, again, that I didn't like. Of course, the laser feature, which I don't think I'll ever used, is just can't be lined up with my scope. However, using it as a point of reference without having to peer into the LCD screen at night is a great little option. So again, those are just a few things that I had to gripe about, and a lot of things that I was impressed about for what this is and the price point. As an infrared monocular, this thing performed very well. So anyway guys, there it is, your good look around about this Commander NV100 by Oneleaf. Want to thank them again for sending this out to critique it and give you guys a good look at it. I really did enjoy this thing. It's actually quite impressive. For a budget monocular that can be mounted onto a rifle scope, which is actually very convenient. You can use this as a spotting scope, a night vision scope on your hunting rifle, or just a monocular to carry in your pack. It's quite versatile, has quite a few things going on for it. It's not exactly perfect at any one of them, but again, like I said earlier, no tool is exactly perfect, especially one that can do a lot of different things. So for what this is at its price point, great little item to have to, again, just to mount onto your rifle or whatever you may want to do with it. Again, quite impressive. The sensor inside of there soaking up all of the light, using it to without the infrared on, and the infrared itself is actually quite impressive. I thoroughly enjoyed having my dog chase the laser around in the backyard. That was extremely fun. But I can see this being used easily in any kind of hunting application for spotting or anything like that. So whatever you may want to use it for. Great little item to have. Again, I'll have a link down there in the description box down below with a coupon code. I want to thank Oneleaf for sending this out to give you guys a good look at it. And we appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next video.